Welcome into Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. We are presented by BetMGM. Brendan Glasheen tonight, joined by Sean Zerillo and Charlie DiSturco for Friday Best Bets. May 31st, we record to you on Thursday evening. May 30th, you can hear Best Bets every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, first thing in the morning during the regular season. So subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also find the video version over on the Action Network YouTube page. If you haven't heard, we have switched up our record time, so we do come to you the night before Friday's full slate. So bear that in mind when it comes to what's available for the guys to dish out what they might have as far as available lines. As we always do, we'll start with best bets, work our way to some underdogs and some final bets. We'll also work in a Fade the Public segment from what we have as far as information. So with that all in mind, Sean Zerillo, why don't you get us started here? Our best bet for Friday.
Boston Red Sox in the first 5 innings. Don't need to worry about their full game line right now, even though they are playing currently on Thursday night, because I projected the full game line at about minus 145 in line with the betting market. But I have their first live line closer to minus 170 here. Big pitching advantage with Tanner Houck on the mound. And like the rest of Boston's staff, he's completely overhauled his approach this season, scrapped his sinker, scrapped his four-seam fastball, introduced the splitter. So now he's going cutter, splitter, slider with the pitch mix. And that splitter has a 114 stuff plus figure. So very good pitch modeling metrics for Tanner Houck. 108 pitching plus, I believe 108 stuff plus and location plus. So 108 across the board. 3.2 expected ERA, 2.7 expected FIP. Looks the best that he has out of the rotation in his entire career. And I think Kenta Maeda has definitely taken a step back this season. 4.9 expected ERA for Maeda, 9% strikeout minus walk rate. He was at 21% last season. He's at 19% for his career. So less than half of his career average in terms of that strikeout minus walk rate. His fastball velocity is down a tick this season. And his stuff plus ratings have taken, or his pitch modeling metrics have taken a dramatic step back. 105 stuff plus, 103 location plus last season, 88 and 99 respectively in 2024. So as I said, Boston projected them minus 170 for the first 5 innings. Would bet that up to minus 155 straight. A little bit higher, minus 160, minus 165 as a parlay piece.
Let's go to Charlie. Best bet for Friday. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so you mentioned line's not totally out right now, but I like the Toronto team total over tomorrow against Bailey Falter. You look at Bailey Falter's numbers, and he is long overdue to get hit and hit hard. He's a 5 expected ERA, bottom 15% of all pitchers in strikeout rate, barrel rate, fly ball rate, yet he hasn't been giving up as many home runs as he should. He just doesn't have the swing and miss stuff. Decent control, but just the hard hit rate numbers itself also a career worst, 43%. So, don't want to mess around with the minus 160s, 165s out there with Jose Barrios right now. Given the totals right around 8.5, I'm assuming that Blue Jays team total will be around 4.5, which I really like here, if not the first 5, because fading Bailey Falter is the best way to approach this. And then a couple of player props that I'm eyeing that could make it into 777s tomorrow. Bo Bichette and Davis Schneider, 2 guys. I think Bo Bichette's kind of at the bottom of the market right now. I bet him on Monday to hit a home run, and he did in Chicago. He's over the last couple of weeks really turned it on. The last 15 days, 339 batting average and an 880 OPS. Last season against lefties, he had a 147 WRC plus and a 200 isolated power. Those numbers obviously have not come to fruition or even close to it. This season, he has a negative WRC plus against lefties, but only about 30 at-bats, so it's a small sample size. He slumped extremely hard early on, got moved down in the lineup. Now we're starting to see him get moved back up, and his success is coming to fruition. And then Davis Schneider, a lefty killer last year, had a 245 WRC plus and a 512 ISO last season. This year, more normal 131 WRC plus and a team best 282 isolated power. So 2 guys with the wind blowing out a bit to right center that could easily go Oppo Taco, but also guys that I think should be able to take advantage of Falter's inability to strike out hitters, to get chases, and his extremely high hard hit rate and barrel rate.
Do we at all get worried about the team that plays the White Sox and then plays the series after?
Yeah,
I'm just asking the question.
You might take things lightly, but it's Bailey Falter, and I'm going to die on this hill that he's not good and he's due for negative regression. And I've been fading him of late, and it hasn't fully worked out. The last time I took an over was against the Cubs, and he threw 7 2/3 shutout. So, but I like this Toronto lineup. I think they're finally finding some sort of form of late just because of the way that Bichette's starting to hit. And, Danny Jansen also has been a pretty solid bat in the top of the order too.
Okay, let's find out if we're going to fade the public on Friday. Aaron Nola's pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies. They are favorites on the money line, -185. Public likes them, close to 95% of the bets, 99% of the cash on Philadelphia over the Cardinals. They send Miles Mikolas to the mound. Any edges, Zerillo, on possibly going with this Cardinals team, which I know we've been down on, and we've discussed their flaws, their older rotation with Mikolas pitching, and also just their lack of defense.
Yeah, they've been red hot of late, though, and maybe finally, going on a tear. They seem to go on a tear in the second half of every season, not so much in May. They're usually in a bit of a lull until the All-Star break, and then they take off, but may not have that time, may not have that fortune this season, because if they're below 500 by the time the trade deadline rolls around, this team is probably selling off pieces, and they have, as you said, like an odd rotation. It is Sonny Gray pitching really well, and then a bunch of innings eaters, the Chad innings eaters, and Miles Mikolas and Lance Lynn, and it's not great, but what they do have is a good bullpen and a well-rested bullpen, and both the Phillies and the Cardinals had off on Thursday, so those bullpens, those key relievers, all well-rested going into Friday's matchup, and I would say the bullpen are the best units, respectively, for both of these teams. The Phillies first in expected FIP, their relievers this season, third in strikeout minus walk rate, fourth in pitching plus. They have the deeper unit. I think the Cardinals' results closer to league average. But when you look at their top-end guys, Helsley and Jojo Romero and King and Kittredge and Fernandez, I really like their relievers. They tend to eat up a lot more garbage innings, or they've eaten up a lot more mop-up innings this season, which is why I think their overall bullpen stats are skewed and a bit closer to league average, but just isolating them for their higher leverage guys, even the middle leverage guys. I think this is a very talented bullpen, and it is the best part of their team. So I like the under in Philly tomorrow. Projected this total closer to 7.8. Like the under 8.5 to about -118 or 8 at plus money. But no value for me on the money line. Projected it closer to -170. So I'm basically in line with the betting market, both for first five and full game in terms of a side. But do like the under, as I said, down to 8 at plus money.
Charlie, total Cardinals side, maybe a 777s angle for Cardinals Phils.
Yeah, there's a lot. So Miles Mikolas, you look at his underlying metrics, and obviously, the xFIP and stuff suggests positive regression. I just can't get behind it. So my mind goes to Philly here. Nola pitching extremely well, but a player prop that I like from this matchup, and I was looking at Bryce, I was looking at Schwarber. The guy that I think is playing better underlying metric-wise, just looking at hard hit and fly ball rate over the last 15 days or so, is Alec Boehm, and he's surprisingly small sample size, though, 6 for 11 with 3 extra base hits against Mikolas. But against right-handed pitching, because Boehm was always a guy that you would take against lefties because he was crushing left-handed pitching last season. This year, a 146 WRC plus and a 186 isolated power against right-handed pitching. He's really turned into the elite hitter that he was always capable of, always just a high on base, average guy, great contact, but he is starting to barrel the ball a lot more. It's gone up from year to year. He's not striking out at all. And against Miles Mikolas, who doesn't really walk many batters, he's going to dare you to hit him. Alec Boehm in the top 5% of all hitters in expected batting average. So just a guy that I think is a great buy. And in the matchup against Boehm and his tendencies to, pitch to contact and try and generate weak contact, Alec Boehm is the guy that I think can easily turn on one and be able to at least get on base. So whether it's a hit parlay between two guys or a total bases, Boehm is the guy that I'm circling here.
Yeah, still a couple days before the calendar turns to June for Kyle Schwarber, the king of June. Career 940 OPS for Kyle Schwarber in June. Just had to look it up. He has an 880 OPS in August, 740, 757 in April and May, respectively. So Kyle Schwarber tends to pick up as the season goes along, and we've seen him absolutely light it up in June recent seasons. We'll see if he can do it again. He's been a little bit lackluster over the first 6 weeks, but he's been picking up for the past week or so. So it seems like Schwarber's heating up just at the right time to post his 10-12 home run month in June.
Yeah, I looked at him, but like the thing is, and obviously the odds are not out right now. I'm assuming his home run odds is going to be like 225 to 250 because that's what they always are, and at that point, it's no fun to be betting that low odds on a home run. Obviously, took Kyle Harrison Oppo last game, I believe it was last game, and now he has he has a good matchup against Michaelis, but ending up with Bohm before the Schwarber goes off in June.
When can the Phillies just start coming back down to earth? Is that going to happen, or is this another cupcake series?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the division, obviously the Acuna and the Strider injuries are massive, and in terms of depth, like look at the pitchers that the Braves are throwing out there at this point. Bringing up the kid from Double-A yesterday, starting Ray Kerr today, like Alan Winans is probably going to get used at some point. The back end of this Braves rotation is not good. They're very much built to win in the playoffs and not to win in the regular season at this point. They need to survive and get a wild card and, just hope that they get hot at the right time come playoff time. I'm sure they'll end up adding a bat somewhere along the way. But yeah, the Phillies seem like it went from they have a lead in the division and, oh, hey, the projections have flipped to the point where they're the favorite to now, oh, they should be a prohibitive favorite considering what the Braves roster looks like. So yeah, we've discussed the soft schedule and all that, but like they have a lot of pitching depth and, they could put Turnbull back in their rotation at any point if they decide to. And at minimum, they're getting 4 good starts every 5 games from Nola and Wheeler and Sanchez and Suarez and how good Suarez looks. So yeah, they're going to be tough. They have the right balance of star power and also depth to win this division, especially considering right now they already have a 6-game lead. So going to be tough to overcome, but consolidating for the playoffs doesn't really help them as much as I felt like it did in previous years.
Yeah, they get the Brewers next, and they go to London to play the Mets.
Yep.
That's a win.
And the travel could hurt them, though. Like, we saw with the Astros and the Yankees, well, not so much with the Yankees, but the Astros traveling to Mexico City and the Dodgers and Padres traveling to Korea and then coming back. Like, the travel affected those teams. So, even if it hurts you for a week, whatever, like, it's not ideal. It's less than ideal, certainly, to be traveling. It's less travel than traveling to Korea or less strenuous than traveling to Mexico City.
It is. It's the Colorado Rockies, right? They stink, but they did, coming back from Mexico City, get swept by Miami, lost 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh, and then lost the first 2 before winning the series finale against San Francisco. Obviously, it's the Colorado Rockies, but they also, off that Mexico City, did not play well whatsoever. Yeah.
I'm curious, when they come back from London, the Red Sox, while they're not great offensively, pitching Baltimore in Boston, in Baltimore, after that's something to keep in mind. After that, I'm talking like, individual nights where there might be options.
Yeah.
You get a nice juicy number on the betting against the Phillies.
A little bit of a body clock hangover.
We'll do that when we get there. That's just a tease. Payoff Pitch is presented by BetMGM. You can use the bonus code ACTION when signing up to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. On to Underdogs, where we might see value for the slate on Friday. Sean Zerillo.
So, as Charlie mentioned, not all lines out overnight, and a couple of games that I've circled, the Oakland A's and the San Francisco Giants against, I believe, Houston and the Yankees, respectively. Only one book has lines out on these games at the moment. So I want plus 185 or better on Oakland for them to be in range. I want plus 120 or better on the Giants for them to be in range. This is a pro JP Sears podcast. It's a safe space for JP Sears backers. 103 stuff plus, 100 location plus for Sears on the season. Really good pitch modeling metrics. Always been a guy who I've enjoyed watching aesthetically. He's a beautiful slider, pretty good command, and seems to have a very good feel for his pitches. I was wrong. They're actually playing the Braves, and Reynaldo Lopez, has decent results on the season, but pitching models are not as high on him. 96 stuff plus, 101 location plus. So the velocity he's had to subtract from his pitches, moving from the bullpen to the rotation, it's limited his stuff plus figures. And he seems to be able to dial it up when he needs it, but overall, on the average profile, it has dipped into below average territory in terms of the stuff rankings and the overall pitching plus rating. So do like Oakland a little bit, want plus 185 or better. We'll see where the first 5 line comes out on that matchup too. I would obviously prefer to bet that if possible, but they save Mason Miller, have him available for tomorrow. It makes their bullpen, legitimate if they have a lead. But in terms of the middle innings, that's where the problem is going to be. The Braves have the better bridge to get to the back end. And then I'm basically anti-Marcus Stroman at the moment. I believe Charlie has similar feelings. 2.8 ERA for Stroman, but a 4.4 expected ERA. 10% strikeout minus walk rate. That's down 3% versus his career average. And he has a career high 10% walk rate this season as well. He's basically just getting a little bit lucky and seems like he is declining in the later stages of his career. So no longer view Marcus Stroman as a all-star caliber arm. I think he's slipped into average to below average territory. And I think he's probably the Yankees' like 4th or 5th best starter at this point with all the guys they're running out there and how good Luis Heel looks and Clark Schmidt and Rodon looking better. So yeah, I think Stroman is at least their 4th best starter, if not even lower on that totem pole. And come October, we'll see if he gets the ball in a playoff game because I wouldn't give it to him right now.
Charlie, you're down on Stroman. Yankees play tonight. They're going to start just after we're done. They're playing in L.A. They play the Giants tomorrow, as Zarello mentioned. I think I'm seeing it's a plus 120 out there on the Giants. But in terms of fading Marcus Stroman, what's the path for the Giants potentially? Or do you just think, all right, let's just worry about the Stroman 5 or 6 innings we'll deal with?
Yeah, that's so last week, I believe it was last week, we talked on the podcast about James Paxton against the Reds, me and Sean at least. And Sean took the Reds on the full game money line. They ended up winning, but I took his under strikeouts and his under outs and ended up hitting both of them. And I'm kind of taking a similar approach here with Marcus Stroman. I don't have to talk too much more than what Zarrillo said on the expected metrics front, but Stroman also has a career worst walk rate. He's not generating the swings and misses. And his numbers, an 84% left on base rate, that strand rate is going to go down to his career line. And you look at San Francisco and just how well they've been playing in the last couple of weeks. Since May 14th against right-handed pitching, they're 5th in WRC plus, and they have the 2nd lowest strikeout rate. And obviously that comes with the ability to stack so many lefties. And obviously Lamont Wade, not having him in the lineup will most likely hurt, and that will be adjusted for. But I think that this is given how we saw the Giants play, and yes, they just played the Mets, so like maybe the numbers are a little bit inflated because they just beat up on the Mets and the Mets pitching, but like this offense is more than capable of succeeding, and I think given Stroman's alarming numbers, I like his under on outs, assuming that it's going to be in that 16.5, 17.5 range, like it was last time he was on the mound, and his under strikeouts too. I think he soared over it his last time out. So I think it's a good buy spot on him, or sell, I guess.
Yeah, it was 17.5 the outs, I believe, last time.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I agree with you, Sean. I wouldn't start Stroman, but we'll see down the line. Schmidt, I think, is getting his elbow checked or something. So he might be out for a bit. So if they are shorthanded with him and Cole, Yankee fans might be worried, but they'll pick up guys at the deadline and stuff like that if these things are serious. But yeah, Schmidt is really butted into a start, and same with Heel.
I didn't even mention Nestor, and then once Cole comes back, like he's their 5th best starter, 6th best starter at this point for me. And he's still effective. He'd be a lot of teams. He'd be the Mets number 1, maybe number 2, behind McGill. But I mean, it's the ERA is not representative of the quality of pitcher he is right now. I think he's an average to below average pitcher.
Right.
Okay, Sean, you got a few more sides you want to touch on. Astros, one in particular for tomorrow.
Yeah, I bet the Astros. Have not bet the other 2 yet, but Rono Blanco is a bit of an odd profile. Had the no-hitter earlier in the year. Has very fortunate batting average on balls of play, strand rate 200 and 92% respectively. But he has a 3.1 expected ERA. He limits hard contact. And he doesn't have a good fastball, but he has a really good slider and changeup, and they're both generating excellent run values, excellent results on those pitches. But also the Astros lineup seems like it's getting a little better. Alex Bregman finally hitting the baseball for the first time all season. I think Jordan might finally be heating up. So taking Houston here. If this was earlier in the season, I don't think you would be getting minus 105 on Houston. But happy to take them up to about minus 115. Pablo Lopez is great, but there's not a huge differential between the expected ERA for Lopez and Ronald Blanco this season. In fact, Blanco's at 3.1, Lopez is at 3.2. So love Lopez, better projections, better pitch modeling metrics, better results in his career. But in terms of the actual StatCast expected results based on quality of contact, etc., they're pretty much dead even on the season. And the Astros have the better lineup, and the bullpens are pretty comparable. So minus 115 is my price target. Made that line closer to minus 125. Keeping an eye on the Mets, God help me, but I would technically show value on them to minus 115. I'm waiting to see the result of Thursday's game. It's 2-2 in the 8th inning right now when we're recording. And the Diamondbacks had to basically deploy a full bullpen game because Zach Allen left after one hitter. And their bullpen has been going all night. So I need to see who the anticipated bullpen for tomorrow would be for Arizona. So yeah, minus 115, the preliminary price target. We'll see if I end up firing, who the Mets end up throwing, if this game goes to extra innings, etc. A lot could change based on that. And then lastly, the Mariners. I would need minus 165 or better. Only one book had a line when I looked just before the podcast. But I'm high on Brian Wu, 104 stuff plus, 109 location plus was really high on him last season. I feel like I bet on him in 75% of his major league starts to date. And I like Soriano for the Angels as well, 104 stuff plus, but his command is a lot more wonky, 96 location plus, a lot more ups and downs with him. He has some pitches that really pop by the pitching models, but the Mariners actually rate really high in terms of Seager. We brought it up a couple times on this podcast. It's a stat that Robert Orr developed over last offseason to basically quantify swing decisions, whether you're swinging at pitches that you should, whether you're taking pitches that you should. I think Seattle ranks third right now amongst all teams in baseball. So may not have the most potent offense, but they do make really good decisions in terms of their plate approach. So do like the Mariners, and I think it's a big reason why, other than their pitching depth, why they're above 500 and why they're trending towards, closing down the AL West and potentially locking up their second playoff appearance in 3 years. So happy the good times are rolling in Seattle, and they have some nice prospects in the minors too. Lazaro Montez, Harry Ford, this team is entering their competitive window. I don't know if they're championship caliber this season. They could get there, but I think 2025 and further, the Mariners are legit contenders for about a 5+ year period.
Just to backtrack quickly, and I would imagine you're not too high on Montgomery for the D-backs. I mean, they're going to have to ask a lot of him, right?
Montgomery, 4.6 expected ERA this season. His pitch modeling metrics are down. His velocity's down. I bet on him once or twice, but he really just doesn't look right. I don't believe he had any rehab starts. I think he was another guy who, like Blake Snell, just kind of jumped into the season after signing late. Yep. But he hasn't looked right. And there is actually a legitimate dip in his quality of stuff that's coming out of his hand that mimics the expected results that he's gotten. So yeah, I'm a little bit lower on Montgomery right now. And I just, I need to see how the bullpens play out tonight. That's really all it is.
Okay. Very good. I don't think, Montgomery, there's a story out of Montgomery, how he makes mention how he's appreciative now of spring training because of the fact he didn't really have one.
Yeah, but Blake Snell said that too. Yeah,
right.
It's very interesting to hear them echo one another's statements. It's spring's important. Yeah.
Yep. He said, I used to hate spring training, and now I'm I love spring training.
There was a really good article too on Fangraphs yesterday about umpiring and how umpires actually are bad in spring training and not great with their called strike accuracy or called pitch accuracy in April and May. And as the season progresses, their accuracy ratings go up. So umpires need spring training too, apparently. They're they need to get back in the rhythm.
Why did Angel Hernandez quit?
It's very interesting. Yeah, Angel's gone. So now C.B. Buckner, probably the most hated umpire in baseball. I think he gets that elusive title, but we'll see who draws the ire of the fans this season. I'm sure somebody will screw up something in the playoffs and become the new public enemy number one.
They all stink.
All right, we'll wrap with Charlie. One more side for you for tomorrow.
Yeah, looking at the Padres, I know I asked Sean offline what his projections were. They were dead on here, but I think I do like the Padres in this one. Cease, it's the third time I've been betting him on this podcast. He's got a career worst 66% strand rate, but he's got a 205 expected batting average, is in the top 10 in both whiffs and strikeouts. Just all his underlying metrics are elite. So 120 stuff plus, 107 pitching plus. And Waka, so his stuff plus is just 91, and it's basically if his changeup is locating or not. He throws it a third of the time. He's got a 109 stuff plus number on it, and that is his entire basically pitch mix. The rest of it, pretty much below average pitches. His four-seamer has been tattooed, and usually bullpens burn me. At least it has in the past. The Padres have a number 7 bullpen in terms of xFIP, with Estrada and Suarez now two of the best young, or I guess Estrada, best young arms in baseball, really closing the door. And KC dead last in xFIP out of the bullpen. So I am close to pulling the trigger on the Padres, and I think I'm going to end up doing it and dive in on it and hate my life betting Dylan Cease for a third straight game. But yeah.
I saw Padres first 5 minus 120. That would be a bet for me. I made it minus 130. So Padres first 5 minus 120. Sure. Minus 125 even would consider it. But it's just another game where the lines weren't widely available at this point. So couldn't fire you up.
Charlie, I'll tell you, I only know this because I know you put it in the app, and I bet the Rays the other night, and the Royals did us a favor, man. They left Waka in the 7th inning, and
I know
they pooped all over themselves. The bullpen came in and couldn't get anybody out, but second and third, and the Rays ended up winning. But letting Waka throw in the 7th is what it was really a Royals mistake, I think, more than a Waka thing.
Yeah, no, we got lucky on that one, but usually, especially given the past history, the bullpen's not been treating me well, so KC deserved to blow one up for me.
Yeah,
the Royals don't have a good bullpen. That's the one flaw with that team. They're 30th in stuff plus. I believe they're 30th in expected FIP.
Yep.
29th in strikeout minus walk rate. Like, it's a huge red flag with that team. They're playing great. Their offense seems to hit everybody. Like, they've torn apart some good starters and good bullpens this season. It's not just Bobby Witt doing it. Like, Pasquantino's starting to hit now. Michael Garcia is playing pretty well. So the Royals offense is super legit. Reagan's remains a Cy Young candidate, but that bullpen is really going to kill them unless they start fixing it and adding pieces, or I don't know what the solution is, but that is the one Achilles heel of that team.
Yeah.
I mean, today, Thursday, as we record,
that was, that's why I bet the Twins today. Yeah. Big differential. And a lot, the Twins, the Guardians, they have very good bullpens. So it's a huge contrast once they get into tight divisional games with those teams. They're going to be at a big pissing disadvantage. Yeah, that too, but a big pitching disadvantage in the late innings.
That was great. You just could have ran with that, but I know what you were trying to say.
Absolutely.
All right. Very good. On that note, we'll go. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app. Find Sean Zerillo, find Charlie. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. We'll do some giveaways once the month of June gets underway. And also check out the Action Network Discord channel. There is a link to the channel in the episode description. For Sean and Charlie, Brendan Glasheen, thanks for tuning in to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast presented by BetMGM. Best of luck on Friday. You all have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.